What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. In this one, I want to basically get the car back on the ground. Well, get all the brakes and stuff back on the car. So brake calipers, discs, the brake booster. I'm gonna sort the hydro out too. If you guys remember a while ago, I picked up a nice Billet handbrake. Yeah, this nice Billet item right here. So I want to put this in the car as well. Also got a new handbrake mount, which is pretty sick. Tonight, I just want to basically start doing some prep, getting the stuff ready to go in. So my brake booster that was on this car originally was gross. I've already started trying to clean it up. Unfortunately, I did already clean the worst of it. I'm an idiot. I should have filmed this a bit before, but you can still see sort of just how bad and like corroded this is. So this is the bottom. So this is all from basically leaking brake fluid. If you guys know anything about cars, brake fluid is terrible. It ruins everything. It's the main reason why this is so messed up. So I've just got my drill, my wire wheel on the end of it, and then yeah, I'm just gonna go through and clean this all up. And then once it's clean, I'm gonna give it a lick of paint. So I've still got some paint left over from when I painted my subframes, I think. We come in here. It's my nice cubby of chemicals. I got primer, I've got some metal paint left, I've got this and another can in there. So yeah, I'm gonna get on to finishing off cleaning up this, and yeah, we'll see how good it comes out. I can see why the wire wheels are Tobin's favourite tools, because I can tell you, if I had tried doing this with just sandpaper, this would have taken arcing forever, but honestly like 10 minutes and this is the result. All the paint's off, a lot of the corrosion's off. This is just a lot of pitting from the metal actually starting to corrode away, so I'll probably hit this with some primer, and yeah, hopefully that'll make this look a lot better. And then once that dries, hit it with some black paint, and yeah, it'll look $1 million, because with how good this engine bay is looking, I couldn't really put something in the corner that was as corroded as that was. So I'm about to hit the booster with some edge primer, and I didn't really have anything to hold it because I don't really want to paint it in the vise, because I don't want to get overspray all over my tools and parts, and my Sylvia is also right next to it. So it's kind of what this little office is kind of used for at the moment. Kind of have a makeshift paint thing set up, painted my subframe here and my sump. But yeah, so this is what we got going on here, just 2 bits of wood stilted up, wedged in between there. Yeah, should do the trick. Give that a few minutes to dry, and then we'll hit it for another coat, and then hit it with some paint. Already it looks $1 million times better than it did. So I've hit the booster with 2 coats of primer now. It's completely dry. The primer did what I wanted it to, and it's pretty much filled up just about all of the pitting that was left over from the brake fluid corroding it away. So it's gonna look $1 million times better. You can still sort of see it. I'm not sure how well the camera can pick it up, but yeah, it definitely did a pretty good job at filling it in. I left up last night and just let the brake booster to dry up, and I'm pretty confident that came out pretty good, considering it was still just a spray can job. Definitely looks $1 million times better than it did, so it's time to get this back in the car. The nice thing about not having a dash or anything is getting to these bolts is so much easier. Booster's in, all tightened up. Now for the master cylinder. Gonna say this because I know people are gonna point it out, but yeah, probably would be nice to be able to buy a new one of these, because trying to clean up all the little crevices and that are a pain in the ass. I did give it a quick scrub with the wire brush, but there's only really so much I can do with that. But yeah, down the line, I probably would like to get a new master cylinder and even a clutch master cylinder as well. Try cleaning this up a little bit, but there's only really so much you can do. Chuck our brake lines back in. I'm so nervous about scratching up this engine bay. Like, obviously I'm gonna have have the odd scratch here and there. Like, it's never going to be perfect, but I guess this is what they say when people say when they don't like to paint their stuff, because then they get way too cautious and nervous. But oh well, kind of is what it is. It's got brake lines on. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the clips that sort of hold it against the firewall, so I'm going to have to try and find some of those. Now I'm going to get onto the brake calipers and discs. So I've got the calipers here and the discs are somewhere else. Gotta have to find those before I put them in. I was originally going to paint the calipers, but I think I'm just going to chuck them in for now and yeah, worry about that later, because I really want to get the brakes done today, because I really need to get the wheels on the car too, patch it. So shout out to Patch, it gave me some spacers to try out on this car, because I really need to figure out the fitment and stuff so I can then order some spacers that I'll need. So he's given me some 25mm ones, so yeah, we'll throw those on and sort of get a good gauge on what size I need to order, whether I need to order some 25s or 20s or 30s or whatever. At a later date I probably will take the calipers back off and paint them. I know for next season, I guess, or at some point, I do actually want to go to a dual caliper setup in the rear on the hydro, because at the moment I'm just running an inline setup, so the handbrake runs off the same system that the foot brake does. But yeah, I want to switch to a handbrake that is fully self-contained at some point. But yeah, I'm not going to do that for a while. So when I do, I'll probably take the calipers off that are on the car now and paint those up along with the new calipers for the dual caliper setup. So found my brake rotors, so I'm just going to get stuck into it. So I'll check you guys on a time lapse while I get the stuff done, and then yeah, we can get the wheels on the car and figure out what it looks like with these spacers. So that didn't quite go to plan. So I've got the rear brakes on, got the rear caliper, the rear rotor on the car now. Went to do the fronts, and unfortunately, have no idea how the hell I've managed to do this, but I've managed to acquire two passenger side R33 GDST big brake calipers and two driver's side R32 GDST big brake calipers. I hope you guys can actually hear me. It's just started raining and tin roof over here. It's probably a bit loud. So that's a bit of a cock up on my part. It's not the end of the world. I can just go and rob the big brakes that are on the 25S14, their factory turbo S14 big brakes, and just sort some brakes out for that thing down the line. But anyway, I can still get the still put the front rotor on the front, and yeah, put the spacers on and get a good gauge on what sort of spacers I need to get. Tobin's poor car getting a wash, an unexpected wash that is. Yeah, the sky's been pretty rough all day. Surprised it's only starting to rain now. Front fitment ain't looking too bad with 25s. Get the backs on and then we'll put it on the ground, see how it looks. Well, as you could see me struggling like fuck to put this rear wheel on, I just remembered I haven't adjusted these coilovers from when we put them in, and I think they're quite a bit too low. So yeah, check back in a second when I lower them, well, raise them up a bit. That fitment, it's not gonna work. It looks sick, but that's pretty much rubbing, and there's still a bit of camber in that. It's gonna be too much, because I wanna stand the wheel up so I can get pretty good tire wear, but yeah, Actually, I also figured out that these spaces are actually 27mm, not 25mm. So yeah, I think 25 is gonna work for the front, but for the rear, I think might have to go, I might actually just take the spacer off and see how the wheel looks like without a spacer, because now that I'm thinking about it, the last time I put these wheels on this car, the brake rotors weren't actually on either, and that will space the wheel out a little bit more, so I'll try that. Yeah, so it turns out I don't actually need a spacer on the rear because I've just put the wheel on with no spacer and it's pretty good. So here's the fitment on the rear with no spacer. So as you can see, it's pretty good. It could be better, but obviously, like I said, I want to stand the wheel up. I don't want to have camber in the rear, because if you have camber in the rear, obviously your tires are going to wear unevenly, which means you're going to have to change them more often. And I'd rather have the wheels standing up so it wears a lot more evenly. I can get more laps out of the tires, and yeah, it's just going to be better. So I think the rear, no spacer, is the way to go, and we'll take a bit of camber out of that, which will fix the fitment a little bit more. And then in the front, I think a 25mm spacer will do the trick. I actually did think that even the 27mm spacer was just slightly too big. So with a couple mil taken out, and the top hats are bang on in the middle, so we could even put a bit more camber in the front to help with it not clashing with the guard, because fiberglass guards, it'll blow apart. Right, the last thing I want to do in this video before I wrap it up is I want to get my new handbrake in the position that I want it. So yeah, got my Billet handbrake here. So now we're going to chuck this in. First I've got to obviously take the old one out, so check back once I've taken that out. It's the next day now. I spent a ridiculous amount of time last night putting my seat in and trying to figure out the right seating position, because obviously to work out my handbrake position, first I needed to work out my seat. Ages ago I did actually have a good seating position with that seat there. Since then I brought another seat to be my passenger seat and realized that it was smaller than that one, which actually suits me better because I'm not that big. So a smaller seat suits me better, and it's also better to have a bigger passenger seat, just obviously in case I have someone that's bigger that wants to come for a ride. It's easier for a smaller person to be strapped in tight to a big seat than it is for a bigger person to squeeze into a small seat. So that meant I had to figure out right seating position with this one. Tried doing it with the brackets that came with this seat, ended up using the brackets that came with that seat because they actually are different. And yeah, it took me a ridiculous amount of time to get the right seating position, but finally got it. So we have it here. And then I also just spent ages trying to work out the right position for the handbrake to go into. This is the new handbrake mount bracket that I brought with my new Billet handbrake. Turns out that this one just puts the handbrake in a bad position because how it's offset like that. So what I've ended up doing is I am actually going to be using the old handbrake bracket, which I have here in the vise. That hole lines up with the new handbrake. This one I've got to make a little bit bigger. I can't actually use this hole because the tunnel the bolt won't be able to go through, and you can see where I've marked out that I have to drill for that. So yeah, I got real frustrated last night trying to figure it out. Finally got it, but I just couldn't be bothered filming anymore. So come back tonight, gonna drill out these holes, get the handbrake bracket back in the car, and then yeah, mount the handbrake down for good, finally. So that's the handbrake in the position that it's going to be in. So finally got it done. Unfortunately, I can't mount it down properly because the hardware that I have for it was for the old handbrake, and the washers are too big to fit into here. So I'm going to have to get some new bolts from Blacks. I'm probably going to get some nice Allen head ones, make it look a little nicer, and they'll look a lot better with the Billet handbrake too. So probably have to do that at a later date because it's like 9 o'clock at night and Blacks aren't open at the moment. So that'll be it for this one, guys. Cheers for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoying the content. Definitely trying to work my ass off at the moment to try to get this car done and also bring you guys the content. But yeah, I'm enjoying being back. So cheers for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.